Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. We have started our revision, and we have started the revision of first chapter of first book. The book is Constitution at Work, and the name of the chapter is Constitution Why and How. And under this chapter, we were discussing about the functions of the Constitution. Why we need Constitution? Because the Constitution perform some functions, and these functions are very much important for us, and that is why we need constitution. And the first and the one of the most important function of the constitution is to provide a set of basic rules that allow for minimal coordination amongst members of a society. As we have discussed in our society, so many diverse group of people live together, and there is there will be very it will be very natural to have conflict among these groups. So it is the need of some basic rules so that people can live together. If there is no basic rules in a society, then there will be chaos, and everything will be in without any order. So it is very important that some basic rules must be there. Then the second step is that the all people must know the basic rules. What are the basic rules? No one should say ki I am not knowing the rule, that is why I am not supposed to follow the rules. So the most important thing is existence of basic rules. Then people must know about the basic rules. What are the basic rules? And not only this, people must be compelled to follow these rules. These rules must be enforceable. And then only we can expect all the people to follow the rules. Because if there is enforcement by the government, then it will give assurance to each and every person that everyone is following the rule, and then only एनी पर्सन विल फॉलो द रूल. जब हमें इस बात का एश्योरेंस होगा कि हर कोई उस रूल को फॉलो कर रहा है, तभी हम उस रूल को फॉलो करते हैं. अगर हमारे मन में ये फियर आ जाता है कि आई एम द ओनली पर्सन और आई एम अमंग द फ्यू पीपल हु आर following the rule and others are not following the rules, if there is no assurance of such kind ki everyone is following the rules, then in that case uh, people become reluctant to follow the rules. So these are the important things. If we want all the people, all the groups of people live in harmony, live with coordination and cooperation in the society, then there is need of some basic rules. These must be promulgated. Means everyone should know the rules, and these rules must be enforceable. And then we were discussing the second function of the constitution. And this in this second function of the constitution, we have discussed that yes, what is constitution? Constitution is a set of basic rules. Constitution is a set of some fundamental principles according to which a state is governed. Yes, we know this about constitution, but here the question is not what are the fundamental principles. Here the question is who are going to make those fundamental principles. It means ki who are the people who are going to take decisions in a country. हमने ये कह दिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का मतलब ये हो गया कि वो एक फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल्स का सेट है जिससे कि जिसके अकॉर्डिंगली गवर्नमेंट का फॉर्मेशन होता है जिसके अकॉर्डिंगली गवर्नमेंट पूरी कंट्री जो है वो गवर्नड होती है, पूरे कंट्री का रूल चलता है। बट अगर हम कह रहे हैं कि ये फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल है, तो इस फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल्स को बनाने वाले कौन हैं? हु आर द पीपल हु आर गोइंग टू टेक decisions? So this is also specified by the constitution, and according to the nature of the constitution, uh, the people who are the decision makers, they also change. Like in a monarchical system, the king is supposed to take decisions. Then in a country like USSR, previous USSR, there was a single party system, and in this single party system, only the Communist Party was given the power to decide. And then if we see in a democratic country, then we see that the people are there to take decisions, because democracy is a government of the people. But here again, a new question arises: if the people are there to take decision, how they will take the decision? Because it is not possible for all the people to take part in the decision making process. So this is also mentioned in the constitution, like people will elect their representatives, and these representatives will form the legislature, as we know. So all these things are mentioned in the constitution: how the parliament will be constituted, how the state legislatures will be constituted, what are the powers of the parliament. Parliament is the supreme law-making body of our country. So all these things are mentioned in the constitution. Parliament के क्या powers हैं, क्या functions हैं, everything is there in the constitution. So parliament is the supreme lawmaking body. But what we see that this authority of the parliament is given by the constitution. If the parliament is powerful, then who made this parliament powerful? The constitution. So the constitution is uh, this is the one of the most important function of the constitution, that it specify who has the power to make decisions in a society. It also specifies how the government will be constituted. Like हमारे यहाँ अगर if we have parliamentary form of government, then how the elections will be held for the parliament, then how the executive will be formed. Everything is there in the constitution. So why this why all these things have been mentioned in the constitution? Because it is the function of the constitution that it must specify how the government will be constitution, what will be the powers of the government, who will have the power to take decisions in a society. So these are the two important functions. And now we will shift to the third function, which is very much related to the second function. As just now we have seen that the function of the government is to specify who has the power to take decision. Now, the constitution has specified everything, and like in our constitution, in our country, the parliament is given the power to make laws. Okay. Now, just imagine a situation in which we see that parliament is making such laws which are not which are very discriminatory, or which are very illogical, irrational type of laws are being made by the parliament. Like it is like it stops a certain color, a particular color of the cloth, that no one should wear a particular color of the cloth. Or it may also put restriction on singing a certain song. Okay. Or it can also impose some restrictions, like people belonging to a particular caste should not be allowed to enjoy uh, some freedom. Like this type of irrational and illogical laws can also be made by the parliament, because the constitution has given it the power to make laws. But this is not the case. The constitution does not give the unlimited power to the parliament or any body of the constitution, or any body of the government. The constitution is there to specify who has the power to take decision, how the government will be constituted. But this power of the government, or functions of powers of the government, are not unlimited. It is limited. What are the limitations? Many country put various types of limitations on the powers of the government. And one more thing, it is very much important to put limitations on the powers of the government. If there is no limitation on the powers of the government, then government will become authoritative. The government will become autocratic, and dictatorship will come. So it is very important that the functions of the government must be restricted. And various countries have adopted different types of limitations on the powers of the government. But the most common limitation on the powers of the government is the fundamental rights of the people, which is given to people through the constitution. So these fundamental rights put restriction on the powers of the government. The government cannot make any law which is against the fundamental rights of the people. It is it is an obligation, or it is compulsory for the government to make laws according to the fundamental rights of the people. It cannot violate the fundamental rights of the people. Citizens are given protection, like in our country, citizens are given protection from being arrested arbitrarily and for no reason. In the constitution, we have earlier discussed that we some rights are given to people against arbitrary arrest. No one can uh, mm, no one can restrict our freedom in an arbitrary manner. So these are the basic limitations on the government. And citizens enjoy uh, mm, many type of basic liberties, जिसको हम कहेंगे, जो कि सब ऑलमोस्ट सभी कंट्री में ये लिबर्टी सभी सिटीजन्स को मिले हुए हैं, लाइक फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, freedom of consent, freedom of association, freedom to conduct a trade or business, etc. Okay, so these rights put limitation on the powers of the government. Okay, but there is one more thing. Like sometimes some situation arise, like any kind of national emergency can arise, and in this situation of national emergency, the rights of the people can be violated by the constitution, by the government. It is specified in the constitution that people will enjoy all the rights and liberties only under normal circumstances. If there is any kind of national threat, any kind of threat to national security, then in that situation, the government is empowered to put restriction, put limitations on the rights of the people, on the fundamental rights of the people. Okay, so uh, this is the another function of the constitution. So up to now we have discussed three functions of the constitution. Provides for minimum coordination different groups of, okay, this is the first function. Then specifies the formation and powers of the government. And then third is puts limitations on the powers of government. Okay, so these are the three important functions of the constitution. Other than these three functions, there is another function also, that is the constitution is there to represent the aspirations and goals of a society. The constitution has specified the formation and power of the government. The constitution has put some limitations on the government, that the powers of the government are not unlimited. There are certain basic rights of the people which act as limitations on the power of the government. So when we observe the older constitution, the older constitution are concerned with only these two functions, कि कैसे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर दो ही चीज इंपॉर्टेंटली होती थी इन द ओल्डर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। एक तो ये कि कैसे गवर्नमेंट का फॉर्मेशन होगा एंड व्हाट शुड बी द पावर्स ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, एंड द सेकंड इज अदर देन दिस सेकंड कि एक तो पहले तो हमने पावर बता दिया कि गवर्नमेंट क्या क्या पावर होगी, कैसे उसका फॉर्मेशन होगा, और उसके बाद हमने ये बता दिया कि उसके पावर्स जो है वो अनलिमिटेड नहीं होते हैं, देयर आर सम लिमिटेशंस टू दोज पावर। बस इतना ही होता था जो ओल्डर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन थे। बट जो 20th सेंचुरी में बने हुए न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, लाइक आर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज ऑल्सो अ न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। तो जो न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है उसमें हम क्या पाते हैं कि वी फाइंड दैट इट ऑल्सो गिव्स अ फ्रेमवर्क for the government to do some positive things. Actually, we can say that the constitution express the aspirations and goals of society. The constitution is not there only to mention the powers of the government and put limitations on the powers of the government. More than this, the constitution represent the aspirations and goals of the people. What do you mean by aspiration and goals of the people or of the society? What we find that in our society also we were experiencing entrenched inequality. Entrenched inequality, as we have discussed in the um, chapter equality, when we were discussing chapter equality, we have discussed entrenched inequality. Entrenched inequality वो inequality होती है जो बहुत बहुत पीछे से चली आ रही है, और वो इतने लंबे समय से दैट इज इन प्रैक्टिस, इट इज इन प्रैक्टिस फॉर सच ए लॉन्ग टाइम कि हम उसके यूज टू हो जाते हैं, हमें वो अननेचुरल लगता ही नहीं है। हम ये फील करने लगते हैं कि ये जो इनइक्वालिटी जो भी एग्जिस्ट कर रही है दैट इज नेचुरल, क्योंकि वो बहुत पीछे से उस तरह की इनइक्वालिटी होती आ रही है सोसाइटी में। सो वी बिकम यूज टू all these things and we don't consider it as a form of inequality. We consider it as natural. So this is entrenched inequality. This kind of entrenched inequality was prevailing in our country also, as we have seen that people belonging to the lower caste, the so-called lower caste of the society, were considered untouchable. They were not given access to the public places. They were deprived of all the facilities and important needs of life. तो ये जो हमारा अनटचेबल्स का ग्रुप था वो बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस, बिफोर द मेकिंग ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, दैट वाज facing this entrenched inequality. And now what we find that why it was existing at that time, because at that time there was this the society, the aspiration of the society was different, the goals of the society was different. But after getting independence, what we find that these we have to remove all these things. Okay, now we realized that this is not the goal of our society, that some people or a particular group of people should be deprived of all deprived of all those things which are enjoyed by other groups of people. So ये हमारा जो था, एक हमारा एक नया aspiration बना कि we wanted our society to be free of caste discrimination. It was the aspiration of the whole society. पूरी society जो है वो यही चाह रही थी कि अब हमारी कंट्री में जिस तरह के कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हम फेस करते आए हैं, हम एक्सपीरियंस करते आए हैं, दैट टाइप ऑफ कास्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन शुड बी abolished. So this is the aspiration of our society. And if the aspiration of the society is this, that there should not be any kind of caste discrimination, then our constitution has represented this aspiration of the society by inserting Article 17 in the Constitution, which prohibits untouchability. Then the Constitution also provides for that there should not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, gender, etc. तो ये क्या है, ये प्रोविजंस क्यों आए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में? क्योंकि हमारी सोसाइटी का जो एस्पिरेशंस था उसको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है. लाइकवाइज अगर हम साउथ अफ्रीका के भी केस को देखें तो साउथ अफ्रीका में भी रेशियल डिस्क्रिमिनेशन वाज देयर. When South Africa was a colonial, under the colonial rule, there was racial discrimination. There was discrimination on the basis of the color of the skin, and the blacks were highly discriminated against. They faced a lot of torture and problems during the colonial period. So when it became an independent country and when it made a new constitution, then it enabled the government to end racial discrimination. Why it enabled the government to end racial discrimination? Because after getting independence, the aspiration of the society has changed. Now the society wants that there should not be any kind of racial discrimination. And that is why this has been given an important place in the constitution, that we thrive for equality. Equality is the one of the most important goal of the constitution, because it is also the goal of the society. तो जैसे सोसाइटी का एस्पिरेशंस होते हैं उसी तरह से कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का भी एस्पिरेशन सेम होते हैं. जो सोसाइटी का एस्पिरेशन है वही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का एस्पिरेशन है. इन दिस केस वन थिंग इज आल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट. सपोज सोसाइटी का एस्पिरेशंस जो कुछ भी था उसके अकॉर्डिंगली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बन जाता है एंड गवर्नमेंट चल रही है. बट बाय विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम व्हाट हैपेंस कि एस्पिरेशंस चेंज हो जाते हैं लोगों के. सोसाइटी का एस्पिरेशंस स्लोली इट स्टार्ट्स चेंजिंग और धीरे धीरे एक बुरी तरह से वो बदल जाता है. तो अगर सोसाइटी का एस्पिरेशंस कंप्लीटली चेंज हो जा रहा है तो क्या होगा? देन इन दैट केस the constitution will become irrelevant. उस तरह की constitution फिर वो नहीं चल पाएगी. क्यों नहीं चल पाएगी? क्योंकि हम ये देख रहे हैं कि aspiration जो है वो बदल चुका है. अगर लोगों के aspiration बदल चुके हैं तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को भी चेंज होना पड़ेगा। अगर लोगों के एस्पिरेशंस के अकॉर्डिंगली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन चेंज नहीं होती है तो फिर वो अगर वो टूट जाएगा, वो ख़त्म हो जाएगा। दैट इज़ द रीज़न वी फाइंड दैट इन नेपाल so many times constitution has been made, not only in Nepal। अगर हम फ्रांस को भी देखें तो जो कि फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन इट स्टार्टेड, फर्स्ट रेवोल्यूशन वाज इन 1789। उस समय से कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन उसका बना, कई बार बना। तो एक बार जब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बन जाती है तो फिर वो कुछ दिन चल रही है, लेकिन फिर से लोगों के जो एस्पिरेशंस हैं वो चेंज हो गए। तो अगर एस्पिरेशंस चेंज हो जाएंगे तो फिर हमें एक नए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की नीड पड़ेगी। That is why we see that in some countries, we can't say in some, in many countries it happens कि एक बार जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनता है दैट इज नॉट परमानेंट, वो फिर से कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को चेंज करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि लोगों की जो एस्पिरेशंस हैं वो बदल गए हैं। तो अगर लोगों के एस्पिरेशंस, सोसाइटी के गोल्स चेंज हो गए हैं तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को भी बदलना होगा। जैसे कि अगर हम नेपाल का ही एग्जांपल लेते हैं तो नेपाल में 91 में जब थर्ड वेव ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी आया तो वहाँ पे डेमोक्रेसी स्टैब्लिश हुई, बट दैट डेमोक्रेसी वाज लिमिटेड डेमोक्रेसी बिकॉज द मोनार्की वाज देयर at the head of the state and it has some powers also। but what we see कि with the passage of time ऐसा हुआ कि जो मोनार्क था उसने सारे पावर को यूसर्व कर लिया, छीन लिया, पार्लियामेंट से, एग्जीक्यूटिव से, सारे पावर्स उसने अपने हाथ में ले लिए। बट पीपल वर नॉट रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट दिस चेंज ऑफ सिस्टम, जो कि एक डेमोक्रेसी, लिमिटेड डेमोक्रेसी ही थी 91 से। बट वो लिमिटेड डेमोक्रेसी भी खत्म हो जाती है और जो मोनार्क होते हैं वो पावर को यूसर्व कर लेते हैं। तो हम क्या देख रहे हैं, इस तरह की सिचुएशन में पीपल स्टार्टेड मूवमेंट। नेपाल में बहुत बड़ा मूवमेंट हुआ कि हमें हमारा डेमोक्रेटिक रूल वापस चाहिए, आपने जो पावर को यूसर्व किया है वो पावर वापस दीजिए। तो इस तरह का जो इतना लार्ज स्केल का मूवमेंट था, क्रश करने की कोशिश की गई मोनार्क की तरफ से, बट इट कुड नॉट बी क्रश्ड एंड अल्टीमेटली मोनार्की को अपने वापस वाले पोजीशन में आना पड़ा और उसी के साथ एक नए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बनाने की अनाउंसमेंट कर दी जाती है। Why Nepal needed a new constitution? Because now the aspirations of the people have changed. Now they are not in favor of limited democracy, but they want complete free democracy. They want that monarchy ने जिस तरह से पावर को यूसर्व किया है वो सिचुएशन नहीं आने पाए इन फ्यूचर। तो अब जो है लोगों के एस्पिरेशंस बदल गए। पहले उनको मोनार्की में काफ़ी रिस्पेक्ट था, दे बिलीव्ड इन मोनार्की, तो उन्होंने मोनार्की को रखा था। बट मोनार्की के रहने का उसने इसको हम कह सकते हैं इनवैलिड, उसने उसको यूज़ किया अपने पोजीशन को, और जो लोगों के अगेंस्ट चली गई, जो लोगों के एस्पिरेशंस एंड गोल्स के अगेंस्ट चली गई। तो जब लोगों के एस्पिरेशंस एंड गोल्स बदलते हैं तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को भी चेंज होना पड़ता है। ठीक है, तो इस तरह से कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो है वो हमारे एस्पिरेशंस ऑफ सोसाइटी को प्रेजेंट करता है। लाइक अगर हम अपनी इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को देखें तो हम क्या देखते हैं कि इन आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन our framers of the constitution, they wanted that everyone, each and every person must lead a life of minimal dignity। जो ह्यूमन लाइफ की डिग्निटी होती है एटलीस्ट उतना उसको ज़रूर मिलना चाहिए, उसको सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट होना चाहिए, उसको मिनिमम मटेरियल वेलबींग मिलना चाहिए। मटेरियल वेलबींग मीन्स वही जो कि मिनिमम जो हमारी बेसिक नीड्स हैं वो पूरे होनी चाहिए। तो हमारी जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है वो इसके लिए गवर्नमेंट को पावर देती है कि इट कैन टेक सम पॉजिटिव मेजर्स। पॉजिटिव मेजर्स मीन इन ऑर्डर टू अपलिफ्ट a particular group of people, the government can do some activities, the government can start some programs, the government can formulate some policies which are aimed to uplift a particular group of the society। So ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने क्यों गवर्नमेंट को इस तरह के पॉजिटिव वेलफेयर मेजर्स लेने के लिए इनेबल किया, क्योंकि हमारी सोसाइटी के अंदर वी आर थ्राइविंग फॉर इक्वालिटी, वी वांट कि सबकी सभी कोई एक डिग्निफाइड लाइफ लीड कर सके। और डिग्निफाइड लाइफ के लिए कुछ बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट्स होती है। अगर कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं जो कि बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट जिनकी नहीं पूरी हो पा रही है, तो उसके लिए गवर्नमेंट विल एफर्ट। So we see that all these things are there in the constitution. इसके लिए हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में फंडामेंटल राइट्स दिए गए हैं लोगों को. Then in our constitution, directive principle of state policy is also there, which are directions for the government when government is going to formulate policy, which ideas it should keep in mind. So this is the function of the constitution, to enable the government to fulfill the aspirations of a society and create conditions for a just society. एक just society बन सके हमारे कंट्री में, इसके लिए वो गवर्नमेंट को इनेबल करती, गवर्नमेंट को पावर देती है, क्योंकि ये एस्पिरेशन ऑफ द पीपल है कि हम एक जस्ट सोसाइटी चाहते हैं. Okay, so this is all for today, and now we will discuss other things in the next class.